Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hello. Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Hello, welcome. Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. We are here with Zipper, our beautiful corn snake ambassador. He is one of our sweetest ambassadors, and he's very, very cute. We'll be talking today all about why we should love snakes, because a lot of people don't, but he is just fabulous. He's amazing. So come on in, let me know if you're here and where you're from, and we'll give you guys a shout out. But we're gonna be hanging out with Zipper today. Hi, buddy. Who absolutely loves people, so he literally will hang out all day. Please let me know if you have any questions about snakes while we're talking about him, because he is fantastic. Good morning, Chuck. Hello. Good morning. But yeah, we will be hanging out with Zipper for a while this morning, and he loves to sit in the sun and enjoy himself. So he'll be with us and hanging out today. Hi. Hi, buddy. He is our corn snake ambassador. If you guys didn't hear, but these guys are very, very common. You see them a lot in the pet trade. So Zipper was a pet trade snake. He is not a wild snake. He came to us because somebody couldn't take care of him anymore. This is very common with reptiles. There is actually a wonderful reptile rescue here in Maine called Herp Haven that is really great, but he was a rescue because snakes are tricky to take care of, and a lot of people think they're very cool and want to have them as a pet, but then don't realize that they do require a lot of work. So he's just like any dog or cat that would get rescued. He is a domestic animal, but we do use him to teach about the different species of snakes that we have here in Maine, because he is a close cousin to them. Hi, Robin. Hello. Chuck, he is not native to Maine, so he is native to the southeastern United States, probably as high up as like New Jersey, Pennsylvania. That's kind of where their range starts, and then it continues south. So they are not native to Maine, but they are native to the Americas. But they are super commonly seen in our pet stores. So I'm gonna move so that you guys get a better look at him without the sun and everything. There we go. That's better. So he would be very common to see in a pet store in Maine, but not wild, not running around. Good morning, Katie. Yeah, they're Katie, have you had a pet snake before? They are really poop is nasty from these guys. Good morning, Naomi. Hello. It takes them about like a week to digest their food. Good morning, Naomi. And they digest it very slowly. They usually only eat once a week, and they are usually going to the bathroom about once a week too. So when they do, it's a lot, and it's very stinky and smelly. They're pretty gross. But the other thing about these guys is that they do live quite some time. So he was somebody's pet for many years, and then he was a young boy's pet, and then he went off to college and couldn't take care of him anymore, or the parents didn't want to have a pet snake in the house. So we took him in. And he's a wonderful snake to have because he is what we call a constrictor snake. So you guys can see he is wrapping all around my hand. This is how he feels secure. He actually loves to be like cuddled and will wear him around like a necklace. He's really he's really sweet. So he is a constrictor, and that means they wrap around their prey, they wrap around their food to eat it. So he is a constrictor, and we are very lucky here I see a lot of you guys are from Rhode Island, but here in Maine we have 0 species of venomous snakes that live here in Maine. So we're very lucky. All of our snakes that are here, and they are all non-venomous, so they're all perfectly safe, perfectly harmless. Most of them are pretty small. There are some that can get big, but they still are not big enough to think twice about a human as a source of food. So none of the snakes that live in our vicinity are really a danger to humans. And we're really lucky that Maine is that way. That's not always the case. In states like New Hampshire, there is one very small population of an endangered timber rattlesnake, and then the timber rattlesnake becomes more and more common as you go down the southeast, so you might encounter that type of snake. But even rattlesnakes really don't want to be messed with, don't want to attack people, don't want to hurt people, and 99% of all snake bites that occur that are reported happen when somebody is harassing a snake or touching a snake or messing with a snake. So really just letting them be, leaving them to their own devices is the best way to avoid getting bitten by a snake if you see one. And the snakes that we encounter here, at least, are non-venomous. And most of the snakes that you encounter in your area as well would be non-venomous. They would be constrictor snakes. The snakes that live around people, like little green snakes or garter snakes, are constrictor snakes. And when we do find snakes living near us, it's actually a great thing. It means that they're helping us with our rodent control, right? So we have snakes that live in our backyards or in the areas around our house, and we also have mice that are living near us. We have rats, we have mammals, we also have insects that young garter snakes will sometimes eat, and they actually do a lot of help with pest control. So having a snake outside your home means you probably won't have as many mice inside your home. It's a really good thing to have these guys around. So they are very sweet. Katie says that she did some research and decided not to have a pet snake. And this is something we really wish people would do all the time, is make sure that they understand the needs of the pet that they're going to get before they get it, because these guys do eat mice. Zipper here will not eat dead mice. We've tried. So we have to go to Petco and get a mouse, and it's a very scarring experience for everyone except Zipper, who enjoys it. But he usually only eats during the warmer months. In the winter, he actually will kind of go dormant for months at a time. So for most of the winter, he does not eat anything. He'll kind of take it slow from about November until about March, and that's just due to the temperature change. It's due to the lighting change. So when the light starts to go away, he starts to kind of get stimulated to go into torpor. So he is very, very sweet. Yeah, it's not fun, especially when they're domestic snakes, and they have been evolved to be very have been bred to be very nice. One of the reasons that corn snakes are one of the most popular snake species as pets in America is because they are so sweet and calm, and have a very low incidence of biting. They can bite, but they usually don't. And that means that they're very docile, and sometimes they don't always do a great job of killing their mice, and so we have to help them, or it doesn't go right, and it's not fun. So it is always, we would prefer it if he ate dead mice. That would be safer for everybody. It's not nice for the mouse, and it also can be risky for the snake, because mice have teeth. Mice can bite. It's why we never recommend leaving mice in with pet snakes unsupervised, because they can do damage. But he is very, very sweet. Hi, honey. You're so cute. Hi, you can see his little tongue sticking out. Yeah. Their tongues are actually how they smell, and they are very scent driven. That's how they kind of get a sense of what's around them. They also do have very good vision, and they can see heat, which is really cool. So they have like heat vision, and that helps them to detect prey from a distance. But then they'll also follow the scent trails of mice, especially like urine trails of mice. And they use their tongues to smell. So when he sticks his tongue out, he is actually picking up particles in the air around him, and bringing his tongue back into his mouth. And on the roof of his mouth, there's a little area called the Jacobson's organ that helps him to analyze the different scents that he is picking up from the air. So it's chemoreceptors, and that is the same thing that we have in our nose that tells us what scents are, is a receptor that analyzes the chemicals in the air. But theirs is just a little different of a mechanism to get the chemicals to the chemoreceptors. So he has that Jacobson's organ at the roof of his mouth to help him do that. And it's actually, that's why his tongue is forked as well, to allow for more surface area, to allow for more area to pick up on scents. Are you a good little boy? Yeah. So what a lot of people don't realize is that Zipper is pretty compact when he's all kind of rolled up like this, but he is actually he's like 6 feet long. He's over 6 feet long. We have his sheds. So when he sheds his skin, which they do about once a month in the summertime, he sheds his skin and it comes off in one long piece if he's, if his humidity is just perfect. And that sheet of shed is usually longer than 6 feet. So we know that Zipper is 6 feet long, and he doesn't look it, but he is. He doesn't really prefer to be stretched out. Snakes usually like that, especially constrictor snakes like to be curled up like that. But if he were, he would be 6 feet long. So he's pretty long, and that's about as long as these types of snakes will get. He's not a very large snake. They certainly can get larger. Other species of snakes can get much bigger, but he is fairly long. He also has this beautiful coloration that people really seem to love. And the interesting thing about pet trade snakes is their colorations have been played with a lot. Their genetics have been played with a lot to adjust the different colors that they could be. So they could be all different colors of the rainbow. I've seen purple snakes, I've seen albino snakes, I've seen really dark snakes, I've seen yellow, I've seen orange, I've seen red. So they, because they're domestic and they're bred in captivity, their coloration can change quite a bit in captivity, but in the wild, this is what you would encounter. And they're called corn snakes because they used to be found in the granaries around farms where corn was stored. So they would hunt for all of the vermin, the mice and the rats and things that would eat up all of that grain. And so farmers actually started really, really liking having these guys around because they did a great job of helping with pest control. It's the same reason we have like barn cats, or the same reason cats were domesticated in general, was to help with pest control. So, so these guys are kind of like nature's version of our pet cats. Chuck asked how long of a lifespan they have. That's a really good question. So that is something that not a lot of people think about when they get a pet snake or a pet reptile, is that their lifespans do tend to be quite a bit longer than other species. Than other species this size. So a reptile, because they're cold-blooded, can live a lot longer than a mammal that's about the same size. So these guys can live into their 20s in captivity, and I've heard of like one up to 30. So they do live an incredibly long time, and that can make caring for them for that long time really, really challenging. So so we always recommend doing your research, making sure you know before getting any sort of pet snake that they're going to live that long. So that's a great question, but 20 is a good average lifespan for these guys. So he's somewhere around 17, 18 years old, we believe. It's hard to know for sure because he was a pet for so many years before that, but we suspect he's somewhere around 17, 18 years old. So he's getting up there. And then Elvis, our other snake, our California king snake, is probably closer to 20. Good morning, Kara. Hello, welcome. We have Zipper with us today. Good morning. He's so sweet. He'll just hang out all day. Hello. I know, Katie. It's a lot. And he is really good at it. You know, he's got it down. It's something that we didn't have to like teach him to do, but sometimes the first one of the spring doesn't always go so well. So yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun. We recommend trying to get your snakes to eat dead mice. And you know, there's some arguments about it that it's good for their brains, it's good enrichment, it's good that they get to practice what they wouldn't do in the wild. There are other ways to enrich their brains, and we would definitely prefer it. But I tried for a while. I tried to give this guy dead mice, and he just doesn't know that they're mice. We would heat them up. We would, you know, like dry them off, make sure they weren't damp, and he just doesn't. He doesn't recognize it as food. So, hello, good boy. As always, and we really appreciate this, we have a donation button on all of our videos, and thank you guys so much for donating in the past or donating on other videos this week. We really appreciate it. But we have the donation button on all of our videos, so if you guys are able to and would like to support the videos that we're making and let us know that you guys are enjoying them, we have that donation button, and we really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. The center has had him probably since he was, probably for the last 8 years, so since he was about 10. We got him when he was around 10, I believe. So we've had him for a while. He's been with us for a long time. But he's very, very sweet. Have you tried chicken broth with your dead mice? I dipped. Oh my gosh. That is a tip. I have never heard of that. I might try it. That would be amazing if that worked. Oh my gosh. Dipped a rat in it. Oh my goodness. Kara, that's really cool. What kind of snake do you have? That I've never heard of that. That's really cool. Yeah, and so we could definitely try that. We could give that a try. Hi. I know. They get picky, and especially if if it's starting to be like winter and they're slowing down and they don't really want to eat as much, they will kind of just ignore the mouse. So that's interesting. A boa. Oh, so sweet. They can get big. Hi. Yeah, so compared to a boa, Zipper is a pretty petite snake. Hi. You're so good. And snakes have these beautiful scales all over their bodies to protect their skin. So they do have skin underneath the scales. But these scales are just made of keratin, like our fingernails, and they do shed off. So they shed their skin. And that is a way for them to keep their scales healthy. And they have different kind of shapes to their scales depending on where they're located on their body. So they have really tiny little scales up by their face, and these will stretch out and get really far pulled apart. So when they're eating, they get really stretchy. You're hiding your face, buddy. And then they have, you know, bigger scales along their back, and then they have these really cool scales underneath their body, and we call the underside of an animal's body, we call these their ventral scales, and they are really nice for sliding along the ground, for getting over bumps and rocks and sharp things. So these ventral scales are really useful, and the reason that they look different is because they're doing a different thing. So they're smoother and more square. And this is actually another reason why some people think they might be called corn snakes, is because it looks like native corn. Kara says that many people with snakes or herpetology, that's what we call reptiles, recommend that for converting to frozen/thawed, but as a last resort because they expect it and you're stuck doing that each time. Yeah. Good morning, Kim. Hello. So that reminds me like of my my older dogs. I remember growing up as they got older, they would start to expect us to give them like wet food or something like that because they got pickier and pickier, and then they wouldn't eat if there was no wet food eventually. So that's really funny. Yeah. I don't know. I think we're okay with him right now. It's, you know, he's been doing a really good job. He has never been injured by a mouse. But if that ever, I mean, if he gets older and he starts getting klutzier about his hunting, then we might switch him over. That's the interesting thing is, so when these guys wrap around their prey, that they make this ball shape. So they will curl up into a ball, kind of like he is doing right here. This is just for security, though. He's not trying to constrict anything. Um, when they curl up into a ball, they will do that around the mouse. And if they don't do it just right, it sometimes can let the mouse get away, or it can let the mouse like have enough room to bite them or something like that. So they have to be pretty spot on when they grab that mouse to really be successful. Yeah, and he's doing a great job now. He does a really good job. Yeah, hello. You're so sweet. So for those of you guys who've joined us more recently, this is Zipper. He's our corn snake ambassador. He's very, very sweet. He loves people. He was a pet for many years before he was an ambassador with us at the center. He's a rescue. And they are one of the most common pet trade snakes that you will find in a pet store. They're not native to Maine, but they are native to the United States, and they are cousins to some of our native snake species that we do have in Maine. They are constrictors. They are not venomous. They cannot envenom anything, and they are pretty petite as a snake, so they're not too big. He is not very wide, but believe it or not, he is over 6 feet long, which is pretty cool. And he absolutely loves meeting people. He has changed a lot of views on snakes because he is so calm, so sweet. Kids absolutely love Zipper. He goes to a lot of, or he used to go to a lot of the elementary schools around here, and he would just let them pet him for hours. He really does love hanging out with people, and especially in the winter, he loves to cuddle. He really loves to be around a warm-bodied mammal. So he loves people. He really loves people, and they are bred that way. So a wild snake would certainly not act as docile and as calm as Zipper. And we do make sure that we really translate that to kids, that this is not normal for a wild snake. If you see a snake in the wild, they're not going to act like this. This is a pet trade snake. This is a snake that was bred in captivity, was bred to be handled, and was bred because they are sweet. They were kind of picked as a pet that would make a good pet trade snake. But our wild snakes around here, our garter snakes, our little green snakes, our milk snakes, are going to be a lot more skittish, and we don't want to mess with them because that's when people get bitten. That can do damage to the snake. Corn snakes are not native to Maine, Kara, but they are native to North America. So they're usually starting around like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and then they travel, and then their range extends south. But they themselves are not, look at you glowing in the sun. They are not usually native to Maine. We do have a cousin of theirs that lives up here. Sometimes these guys are also known as red rat snakes. And we do have a snake up here called a black rat snake. That's kind of in the same general family as these guys, but they're not the same species. They're black racers, and they are actually endangered in the state of Maine. Many reptiles in Maine don't really love it up here because it is so cold in the winter, and that's changing. It's getting warmer in the winters here, so we do see some more reptiles, you know, doing a little bit better in our area, but for the most part, Maine is usually the top of a lot of the ranges on these species because it is just so cold in the winter, and many of them don't have the behaviors to hibernate or to go underground for the winter. The ones that do live up here have those behaviors. So like garter snakes will go underground and dig themselves, or find a fox den or something like that, but they'll go underground, and they usually go underground for most of the winter and then emerge once it gets warmer in the spring. But these guys don't have that behavior, so they would just freeze if they go out into the wild. They do not do well in the cold. So this guy in the winter, he's, you know, stays nice and toasty in his enclosure inside in his tank. We're really looking forward to. This is one of the ones that I'm most excited about, moving to the new facility next door. We're really hopeful that we'll be able to get some really nice, big, tall tanks for these guys. They love to climb, so they really like to explore vertical space. They love to climb, and I can't wait to provide them with that space. It's not that their enclosures now are small by any means. They each have pretty large enclosures, but they're just large horizontally and on the ground. And um, I would love to give him some more vertical space to climb because he enjoys it a lot. He really, when you give these guys any new toy or any new structure in their enclosure, they immediately explore it. They love to explore new things, and they are really fun to give enrichment to for that reason. They love to explore everything. In fact, the first time I ever met Zipper, we were hanging out. I was just getting to know him, and he's always been really sweet, so you don't have to do very much for him to like you. And so we were sitting in a chair, and I remember he wrapped around my waist and got his head stuck through one of my belt loops and just kept going, and eventually got stuck in the belt loop, and I had to cut it off because he was so stuck in there. I didn't want to pull him backwards and rip his scales and everything. But he just loves to explore new things, new people, new scents. They're really fun. Do native snakes relocate well? So most of the native snakes that we have here in Maine don't make good pets. They are not usually recommended to be pets. There are some pet trade snakes that are the same species of snakes that live wild here. This is an issue that happens like throughout the country, but there are wild milk snakes that live here. Milk snakes are another species of constrictor that live around here. And there are also domesticated milk snakes that are bred in captivity and sold in pet stores and things like that. And they're the same species, but they are very, very different in terms of their behavior and in terms of their, willingness to be handled and be a pet and everything. But so a wild milk snake would not let you go up to it and touch it and start cuddling it, but a pet trade one might. So, oh, thanks, Chuck. You're so sweet. We do love them. They're so funny. They all have their own little personalities. It's like having a big family. But they're so great to teach about, and especially these guys that, we're teaching about wild snakes, but this guy is not a wild snake. So we get to love on him a little bit more than some of our other species that we do have that are very wild. So Laura, I hope that answers your question. The native snakes that we have in our area just don't make good pets in general. So if you wanted to have a pet snake, you would need to get it from a pet trade or a pet store or a reptile rescue. There are lots of reptile rescues around. They have them just like we have rescues for dogs and cats. There's a really good one in Maine called Herp Haven that we love. That's helping us a lot with the design of our new tanks and everything. We consulted them on their advice and everything. So yeah, we're really excited about that. I know, I can't wait to give this guy some climbing fun. Yeah, he's so good. Thank you guys so much for watching. If anyone has any other questions about snakes, this guy is literally happy to hang out with us all day. So, so please ask away. We're so grateful that you guys watch and are entertained, and we hope that you guys value our work and donate in the future. And we're really, really pleased that everybody has been watching with us for these many months. I know I see a lot of you guys on here every single day, and it's amazing. So thank you guys so much for interacting with us. We really miss everybody. We're back on the road doing some like very limited outdoor programming for groups, that are being very careful, and we have all these precautions, and it's a little bit better here in Maine. So so we're traveling just a little bit, but we still aren't doing as many programs as we are used to doing. So thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. You guys are so sweet. And we can't wait for the time when you guys can come and visit Zipper. I know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. And we will be back tomorrow. Oh, I'm so glad. Kara, that's so sweet. Yeah, we love snakes. Snakes are great. People are definitely changing their attitudes about snakes. It's kind of similar to the way that people were thinking differently about bats. In the last 10 years, people's views on snakes and bats have really changed, and it's very generational, we've noticed. Yeah, North Country Cider is going to be on the 30th. That's going to be so fun. There's a link on this page to sign up for that if you guys are interested. Thank you so much, Kara. You're so sweet. Oh, so sweet. Yeah, snakes getting introduced to kids early on is one of the best ways to help dispel fears of snakes. There's, still a little part of our brain that when we see something slithering in the grass and super fast, we're like, oh my God. But it really does help kids to learn from a young age that snakes are not harmful when you teach them early. So we've been doing that with Zipper for a long, long time. Our local school kids just love him and adore him. And I've noticed a big shift in the way that people think about snakes. And then, kids go home and talk to their parents, and their parents become more aware. So it's great. But thank you guys so much. We will see you guys tomorrow. And we are very much looking forward to seeing you again in person someday soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.